Hello. And today we'll be playing Shelter. This new update came out at the beginning of this month, September, and this will continue Max's route. Morning. Sorry. You look so cute when you're asleep. You can still forever. Crap is always so late. Max must be already waiting for us. Come on, put your pants back on and let's go. We have a busy day today, Luke. Someone's in a good mood today. You always put me in a good mood, Luke. But on top of that, I'm quite optimistic about today's haul. It's supposed to be Sir Shepherd's first excavation return, right? I expect great things from him. He has ridiculously sharp intuitions and eye for detail. He does, doesn't he? Sharp intuition, huh? Yeah, two things in people both. Is something the matter? No, nothing. It's just that even after all those weeks, he still acts weird around me. You just don't seem to be able to see eye to eye, you know? I wonder what I'm doing wrong. Oh, Luke. I put my hand on the human's shoulder and smile as we keep walking down the corridor together. It's so weird. His mind is so vastly complex that I can't comprehend his thoughts with empathy at all, and yet he himself often has issues understanding seemingly obvious things sometimes. I could just tell him the reason for the Shepherd's freakouts around him and clarify that it's not hatred but something quite opposite. But I know I shouldn't. The human's mind. This misunderstanding works in my favor. Don't worry about him. People who know you know you're a good boy. He is too. He cut all ties with the Grove to be here with us, after all. It's not like he was a part of the army anyway, right? Being a Shepherd and all. I still don't understand how that works for him. Both Burry and Rune tried to explain, but canine politics are weird to me, you know? Well, yes, technically he was never obliged to work for the Grove, but by coming here, he pretty much guaranteed he'll never be welcome to the capital ever again. At least not by the people who matter. Who is it that matters? I want to say the wolves in power, but I stop myself when I notice his curious amused stare. I chuckle. I'm sorry, I worded it wrong. You know what I mean. Yeah, it's okay, I think I do. Still, I'm happy we have him on our side. Whether he likes me or not, it was ballsy of him to add against the Grove and come here for room. Maybe he came here prompted by Room Moon, like many others, but his dedication and care spread wider than that. He generally cares about this community. Max and I have less work setting the bad apple straight ever since he came here. Yeah, he's almost as respected as Room, isn't he? He can silence a dog but with a single glare. It's good to have him on our side. Yep, him and many others. It's like I told you, as time goes by, Shelter will grow bigger, stronger, more respected. There'll be no stopping us. He smiles. Where is it? Where did it go? That's okay, sir. It's okay. I'm sure it's still here somewhere. Come on, Luke. That already started. I bumped the human shoulder and went ahead towards the many presences of dogs near the entrance gate to Shelter. Max is already there, as well as the scout dog from Cooper, the Caucasian's pack. I assume the rest of them also arrive shortly. Both the dogs stand around an old blue heeler. He's visibly and audibly upset about something. Calm down, sir, please. It's not worth getting so upset over something like that. I'm sure we can. Don't tell me to calm down, you daft pup. It certainly is worth getting bloody pissed about. Oh boy, what happened? Human. My pipe. My pipe is gone. Okay. Yeah, Max, fix the pipe. You don't understand, it's gone. Look. The old boy raises his arm, strapped in some sort of black sleeve. The circus went across his length. There was some small letters and numbers painted on it. Is this a relic? Yes. I just brought it with me. We still don't know what it does. It turns invaluable things to smoke. That's what it does. Well, it was a smoking pipe. This is not a laughing matter. What are you going to do about it? Well, I'm sorry, sir. I can give you one of my bones. I don't want your smelly bones. Mine was perfect. I want my old bone pipe back. For a brief moment, it feels like sudden suction of air bends by fur in the direction of Thistle's open hand. With a blink of an eye, out of nowhere, the bone pipe materializes between his fingers. It's still lit and spews smoke. Whoa. I want a gallon of cognac. Do we all get only one whisk each? I don't think that's the case. It's heavily based on Walnut Manor with some additions of avian. I think this really lets you access your wallet holding seal, but like without even touching the ground. But I've never used Walnut Manor before, human. And it materialized still smoking. Stuff taken from the seal wouldn't do that. That's why this is pretty bonkers. Relics are basically built to bend the rules of magic in unnatural ways. That's a very good find, a high-grade relic, good boy. You better fetch a good price for it. In fact, I would be very interested in getting this one off your hands. How about that? The human closes his eyes and lets out a quiet sigh. Maleficence is a convenient power. The Labrador wags his tail and nods while Thistle continues smoking. The old dog doesn't seem to be in a hurry to take the relic off, despite its owner's patient yet expectant stare. Instead, he takes something from under his coat, a stack of paper filled with black ink, writing, and some sort of sketches. A sudden gust of wind blows against our noses, and all the paper vanishes in a faint cloud of dust. All the Thistle's other amusement. That's spectacular. All I have to do is just think about putting it away and poof, it's gone. I know, right? But you better take your documents out, sir, because I need the relic back. But Thistle doesn't listen. Instead, he starts venting even more things. A bag of tobacco, an old embedded chew toy, a yellow ball gag. Sir, stop your whining, boy. I'll buy it from you. How much do you want for it? But the human said, oh, that's okay. I'm fine with Thistle keeping this one. Still, I can sell it to anyone before talking to Cooper. Well, that makes it easier. Don't bother, puppy. I'll have a talk with your leader later. I should probably go make sure they aren't lost. You gotta do that, yes. I'll take my time familiarizing myself with my new toy. What a magic. Ha! I never thought I would become a green maze at my age. While the scout runs outside, the rest of us stay with Thistle, waiting for the group's return. It's amusing to watch the old healer acting so excited of his new relic, all the little experiments he does with it. With a bit of practice, he realizes he's able to use the relic's power, even through the arm it isn't strapped on. Then, a moment after, a glint of great realization flashes through his eyes. A more powerful blow of force blinds us for a split second. And the old dog stands in front of us butt naked, another bloody relic of his wrist, and a bright burning smoke bone in his hysterically laughing mouth. Joining that laughter amused, the human puts his hand on his face and lets out a towel sigh, while Max only wags his tail and stares at him with fascination, a few steps away from us. The smile of his muzzle is very faint, but his wagging tail and the brightness of his mind tells us all I need to know. It was a good idea to get Max interested in relics. I just hope he's useful enough for you. He is. He has a good nose and learns fast. He's very good with his hands. I think this is good for both of you. You can finally relax a little. Shelter is significantly more peaceful right now than the time we first came. With Sagbark and whatever remained of his pack taken care of, I don't even need Matt to watch my back so much anymore. Are you still angry about that? The thing with the riddle knots? Look, they weren't good for Shelter, and they didn't intend to change. You've given them enough of your patience. The things they did, they were criminals by canine laws, and all I did was make sure they get the justice they deserve. By snitching to the grove and sending them to execution, to a trial, it's not up to me to judge anyone here. Depending on how the trial goes, there's a good chance they won't get executed, but just end up in a pound for a while. Either way, that should make everyone else think twice before they decide to metaphorically sit in their own den again. I know this isn't how you would like to do things here, but if you must see this was for the best, you certainly know I didn't make that decision foolishly or without good reason. Everything I'm doing is for the good of you, Luke, and for Matt, for everyone here. For our family. While Phyllis is busy fooling around with the ancient relic's powers, in front of Matt, I hold the humans hand and stare into his eyes, wagging my tail, smiling. That never fails to turn his frown upside down. It comes pretty effortlessly to me. After all, I'm not lying. I speak nothing but the truth. I know I'm not angry. I'm pretty well aware that that was something we should have done a long time ago, but that just felt wrong, really leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Burry and Room feel the same. Nobody here is on good terms with canine authorities. Good thing they don't call the shots here then, huh? Oh, you know what I mean. Room is competent and can really follow through when needed, but he's been getting more interested in chasing tails than doing any actual governing. And Burry Tangleroot, he'll be fine. He just really likes following orders, huh? You don't like Burry too much, don't you? Oh, I do. Of course, I do. What do you... Aqui, I may not be able to use empathy, but I need a blind, deaf, nor stupid. You are so tense whenever he's mentioned. He really isn't a bad guy, I promise. Whatever it is that's bothering you about him, I'm sure it could be fixed if you two just talk honestly. I feel you'll be surprised with him. There's a lot hidden under that big, fluffy calmness. A lot of good. I can't force you to tell me things you don't want to say, but at least promise you'll speak with him, Aqui. For me? I sigh, and then my attention dwells toward the sound of irritated growls and frantic truces. Once Matt's daughter a flurry of Thistle's cane strikes, the old man must have gotten angry at Matt over something trivial as per usual, and now is getting even more furious being unable to land a hit. There's so much innocent carelessness. There's so much innocent carelessness in Matt's mind right now. How much longer is he going to be able to enjoy this life? As much as I hate to admit it, both our time and options were limited, and none of this work would matter when we finally went out of the ladder. Yeah, I think it's finally time. The human pets my head and scratches behind my ear, just like I once told him that I enjoy. In truth, I don't like being touched, really. And as a general rule, physical contact was never a good thing for me. I simply learned to tolerate it and use it. It makes him happy and attached to me. In that sense, my body has always been my second best tool, right after the sharpness of my mind. I knew that for the good of Matt and me, I had to use all those tools at my disposal to win the human's favors. Luckily, that turned out to be much easier than expected. Even without empathy, I feel like I grew to understand him clearly enough just through watching and listening to him. He really is fascinating, and so surprisingly satisfying to work with. Suddenly, I can sense a wave of urgency for a few miles outside, running in our direction. I could hear barking and whining, and the Labrador scout from Cooper's team was his back through the entrance, bumping other dogs on his way. Help, help! What the hell's going on? Aqua human, please help, my pack. They were ambushed by bandits. I saw Sagbark and the winter knots among them. I swear. No way. That's impossible. They were taken by the kingdom's authorities. I swear I'm not lying. Please, you have to help them. Of course. I thought I got rid of them. That thorn in my side. I don't know what all of this is about, but I'm going to put a stop to this for good. I'm not going to let them disturb my shelter any longer. Take a deep breath and let out a loud, soft howl to echo across the metal halls. Soon I hear a dozen of echoes back, and multiple presences of our many sympathizers start rushing towards our gate. Let's get it over with. Max, you stay close to me. You can coordinate others in pack mentality, but I forbid you from fighting. You're in no state to. More and more dogs join me, answering my call. But, Max, where? Aqui? He's already outside. The scout told us Sagbark and his cronies were indeed among the people who ambushed Cooper's squad on their way back to shelter and presented at the banditry on my people. It was the same group that was supposed to be in prison and put on trial in the South. I understand the implications of their presence back here straight away. As demanded by a blue moon that day in the castle, the Crimson Royal Grove didn't show any signs of aggression towards shelter. They weren't attempting to smother us economically either. However, with shelter gaining its conditional independence came an important waking call. Since we didn't want to be governed by the Grove, we wouldn't benefit from their protection either. Crimes committed to the north of Mooresburg were excluded from the Wolves' jurisdiction. It was all our own problem now, and it was up to us to come up with solutions. Foreman confirmed exactly that. I wish he was able to warn me about that a bit sooner. Why does everything have to work against me? It took so much effort to establish the authority of my pack within the shelter, keeping everyone in line for the sake of Max's peace and safety. We couldn't just kill Sagbark, even though that was clearly the most efficient solution. I would gladly be the one to keep my hands soaked in blood for my brother's sake. But a human and his two comrades are too perceptive. I couldn't risk being discovered committing the concepts they were against so vocally. There's so much to learn about governing people, huh? I never thought I would be in a position like that, nor did I want to be. All this is out of necessity. I was always taught contempt for people in power. Those were often our targets, after all. Egoistic perpetuous shaping the world through the strength of others, we were told. Of course, I was never naive enough to believe everything the cats fed us during their conditioning propaganda talks. Or at least I stopped that night we finished our very first job. It was close to the southern canine border. An important political deal was struck between some two important dog clans, strengthening the balance of security in that strategically important region. An arranged union between two young, promising alphas in training. We put an end to both of them in their own chamber. It was a smooth job. The Opal Pride did a thorough job preparing us for our first assignment, the infiltration and quick strike and out. With us being dogs, we were at a much lower chance of being sniffed out by the guards than any feline assassins would be. We were out of their den and ran through the woods before anyone could notice us. However, it was in the woods that we were caught by a sound, a voice, a loud cry of someone back at the place we just fled, sorrowful wailing echoing through the night sky. It sounded like one of the old alphas of those clans, but that voice, that pain, weakness, and disbelief, it's hard to believe it belonged to someone we earlier observed leading his subject with so much strength and authority. It made Matt stop. He looked in that direction. His mouth gaping in confusion. His lips trembled, as he raised his bloody hands to his face. As he listened to the cries in the distance, so did tears start to gather in his eyes, and he still kept quiet. He didn't whimper even as he sniffed his hands and licked the blood off each digit, and tears only dripped heavier down the cheeks. I was too sorry to even cry, dazed and tortured by the cries of the dog. The distance I did the best I could. I did the best I could think of for Max at that time. "You did a good job, Max," I said. "They were bad dogs." And I felt he believed those words, even if I myself didn't. At that moment, listening to that terrible voice, I still hear my nightmares sometimes. I realized that the dogs in power weren't really evil or good, strong or weak. They were just dogs. Now I myself am climbing to the position of power within shelter, and so speaking through me. But I want to believe it doesn't make me any less of a person I always was. My dedication to my brother will never change. My brother, who acts recklessly the moment I take my eyes off him. He was never like that before we came here. The freedom that made him rash and disobedient. He knew very well he wasn't allowed to fight using his power, and he still was to help Cooper and his pack. He fought, and with each strike of his feline style, he weakened the crystal in his spine. And once the battle was over, he couldn't hide the pain in his right leg from my empathy. The crystal began to disintegrate. He started to develop pressure over the spinal cord. It took me the 2 following days to alleviate the symptoms through intense chiropractic and careful burning of the crystal dust, but there was no way to recover the particles that were already lost. I was furious at Max. I shouted at him, probably for the first time ever. I made him swear on my life that he would listen to me and never participate in a fight ever again without my permission. He promised. I apologized for shouting. We hugged and promised never to make each other sad again. We were brothers. We would do anything for each other. Anything. However faint the leads of his salvation could be, I'll follow each and every one of them to the end. A wolf-like ice figure looks at me from the top of a cliff, sitting on 4 lanky legs as I walk down a frozen gorge. The moment I blink, it disappears, and a natural howl reverberates through the cold air across the surface of the frozen river I walk on. I can see more of those weird creatures running far in between the rocks, yet it's hard for me to pinpoint their location. Their minds are weird. So it's true what I was told. He really toys with lies even now, in secret. I noticed a sudden movement behind me, then on the sides of the ravine. The ice creature skulk in the saddles. They surround me where I can't see them, at least 7 of them. Are they preparing to attack me? I knew it. I knew he was hiding something despicable, something he couldn't allow anyone to witness. That was what my informant confirmed to me, yet he advised me against investigating that further. There is darkness in our dog's heart you do not want to disturb, else it swallows you in your business, both, he said. Well, I know that. I'm very well aware of what kind of monster he is, yet that doesn't change the fact I'm running out of time and options. I'll find out whatever that is he's hiding, and I will use that to force him to do my bidding, whatever it takes. It's around that time that the presences of the ice creature's mind become clearer. It's still unnatural, but I can definitely feel their attention being locked on me with an intention of an assault. I'm not as strong of a fighter as Max. I could never defeat a whole pack of enemies at a direct confrontation with just my hands. Neither would I be able to flee at this point. But I intend to neither won nor be defeated today. I can prepare. Shelter attack. I press and hold 2 buttons at the opposite sides of a relic wristband, making the harness around my torso limbs flare up with power. It's around that That time, with one of the presences split from the pack, it rushes at me from behind. A moment later, the rest of them follow from different points outside my vision. One behind me leaps into the air and attempts to pounce me from behind. It aims straight at my head. The moment the full power of the relic harness finally activates, engulfing me in a searing heat that makes the cold air around me blow in a white cloud of steam. I spit on my heel. Amber circuit. And as I shout and swing my arm, the steaming hot forearm, strengthened by the relic harness's power, cuts through the ice creature's neck like a hot knife through butter as it narrowly avoids its sharp teeth. It still managed to reach my cheek with its long, smooth tongue, making it melt on my hot fur and skin. Wait, the tongue. As the ice wolf's half-melted body falls towards the surface of the frozen river, the flow of emotions from its severed head flashes even clearer than before. It was an ambush, yes. Yet it also wasn't aggressive. There was happiness and excitement in it. The creature was greeting me. It isn't until the head finally hits the ice that the happiness turns into confusion. The bright specks of light acting for eyes tremble in discomfort as the half-melted jaw ultimately breaks off from the impact. The other ice wolves stop in their tracks as the empathetic weave among us grow dark and unpleasant. I'm stumped. I don't know how to react. I came here fully prepared for a conflict, but not for the opposite of that. Suddenly I slipped, with the extreme heat still emanating from my body. I didn't realize how quickly my feet sank into the ice. I can't stay long in one place using this relic here. But that one moment of indecision was already a moment too long. Even when I tried to kick myself out of the deepening puddle of water, my feet find no purchase in the constantly melting ice. Then I raise my feet and make a faster kick in the fully amplified strength. Yet all that does is shatter the bottom layer of ice and send me underwater. The water bubbles around me as I struggle to stay afloat. Trying to claw onto the ice surface yields no better results than grasping at a string. I try to turn the relic off, but I can't locate the little slippery buttons in my panic. I try to do that while waving my feet around with all of my strength, but I still sink deeper underwater. Since all of it happened so fast, I wasn't even able to take a proper breath. The moment I feel my lungs growing too hot and heavy, I give up on locating the buttons and frantically swim up to the surface. Yet even then, I'm unable to take a proper breath without choking on the wildly bubbling water. I can't decide between using my hands to stay afloat or looking for the buttons, and I fail at both. Then something heavy falls on my back, instantaneously dragging me to the very bottom of the riverbed. A big hand presses against the back side of the harness, and I feel a blast of magic passing through me. Thick fingers envelop my whole wrist and squeeze it. The rag finally stops, where I can feel the cold of the water piercing through my body as the river's current drags us under the thick layer of ice. The big dog holds me by the scruff of my neck while dragging both of us towards the ice. Then he makes a flip and severs its surface with a powerful magic charge kick. He forcefully pushes my head through the chunks of broken ice, then multiple jaws pull me up to the surface by my neck and shoulders. Finally, I can see the sun clearly again as I take a deep breath of cold air. The ice wolf creature drags me towards a solid rock bed at the side of the gorge. As I look behind me, shivering from the southern cold, I see the giant Saint Bernard dog climbing through the ice up to the surface with the help of his magic minions. I tremble in cold and fear as he approaches. He looks down at me and kneels by my side. He grabs my wrist and presses the two buttons to turn the harness back on again before taking a few hasty steps back. It doesn't take long for the well to heat up again. For your information, there are two emergency shutdown switches by your sides down there. Much easier to access in a pinch. However, I will advise against using those unless absolutely necessary. Terminating its magic that way makes it harder to turn the weather back on later for some reason. I nod, still dazed, and turn the relic off turn the relic off the normal way by pressing the two annoyingly slippery buttons by my wrist strap. The harness starts buzzing and leaves me cold again, but now I'm completely dry and not at risk of freezing to death anymore. Instead of banging at Burry Tangleroot with a straight face, he stares back at me with those deceptive slitty eyes. He laughs. Oh my, that was quite dumb of you, was it not? If you want to use relics for keeping yourself warm with your short fur, you should definitely mind your surroundings next time, Master Ackley. But you did not come here equipped in the Amber Circuit just for warmth, did you? You knew about them, my brothers. What? Burry Tangleroot chuckles again while I look around at the animated ice figures around me. I feel a terrible chill running down my spine. While staring into their eyes of white light. It takes me a moment to let his words sink in. Then one of those creatures bring him the severed head of the wolf that attacked me with his jaw broken off. There isn't a single joint it can move, but the two eyes are still glowing in the ice skull. The big St. Bernard dog takes a broken ice head in his hands and stares at it silently. Arlo says he is sorry for scaring you. He was merely moping around. Oh, I see. Well, I didn't know that. Well, that's what you get for not listening to Gus, Arlo. Now, playtime is over. I'm sorry, but you have to go back to sleep, all of you. I take a step back when the dog lets out a long, loud sigh. As he does, all the ice wolves around us grow tense. The air around me feels even chiller from the sudden release of magic, and then their eyes dim out, leaving nothing but lifeless and motionless, half-transparent sculptures. Only one of them still remains active, the biggest one with some kind of a white collar fastened around its thick neck. The creature walks a few steps on its trembling legs, but then stops and looks at Burry Tangleroot and shakes his head. The dog puts his hand on top of his ice brother's head and stays with him in silence while the eyes slowly dim out across the span of almost 1 minute. Then he unfastens the collar and takes a few steps back, lost in thought. He stayed stable longer this time. Good. What's going on here? Oh, so you do not know. Color me surprised. I expected Luke to not have any secrets from you at this point. He knows about this? Oh, he does. I trust Luke with my life and theirs. I have no secrets from them. And it's quite reassuring to know he never broke that trust. He really is a good boy. But who could possibly tell you about them if Luke stayed quiet? Does he even know you're here? There were rumors. I needed to know what they were about. As for Luke, he is actually asking me to talk to you for the longest time. I say all that with a straight face, wrapping my thoughts in the mindset of honesty. As long as I don't lie in matters that I want to keep unspoken, I should be able to convince his empathy. He doesn't need to know about my informant or my exact intentions for coming here. His own mind feels pretty honest as well, calm, assertive, and yet calculating. Thank you for coming to see me, then. I was looking forward to talking to you, too. It seemed to me like you were avoiding me all this time, Master Ackley. But really? No, that's... Master Ackley, I know you are an expert in empathy, but I have had my fair share of training and years of professional experience as well. At least enough to know you do not feel too comfortable around me. Yes, I know about your skills and proficiency, Burry Tangleroot. And that must be the exact reason for the cold in your mind and heart, correct? Even after so many years of retirement, my old infamy still precedes me. You don't look like a retired dog to me. You've been keeping yourself busy. Huh. Indeed, I guess there's never a true rest for the dogs of knowledge. There's still so much that has to be done to set things right. But I definitely see progress, as slow as it is. Last time we tried to experiment, Gus literally started falling apart the moment I stopped burning my ember, even with the collar on. And the entity really cannot expect the relics of the ancients to fix all of your problems, huh? There are nothing but tools, but they're nothing but tools, and they can be either a blessing or a misfortune, depending on the hands wielding them. But who am I to explain that to you? You experienced that on your own hide just a moment ago. Use an amber circuit on full heat on top of a deep frozen river, a creative though certainly a bit thoughtless way to reduce heat. The last dog I saw using it utilized it purely for its strength enhancing qualities for healthy manual work. The heat is supposedly just a side effect. Is that not right? And imagine you will drain it out of all its power in no time if you keep using it with those weird settings. Yeah, there will be a ways. It is one of the top grades. But what about your color? What does it do? I haven't seen that read it before. How about you and I retire to a nice cover to have our talk? My body may be blessed with a generous layer of insulation, but I will still die if I stay exposed to strong winds like these with my clothes and fur all drenched in water. He smiles and starts walking away. The rectangle route leading me to the secondary location, huh? That's concerning it is the most basic rule. Survivors would rather fight kicking and screaming than an assault to lead you to his hiding place. However, he had a chance to kill me or buy me, but he didn't. He helped me out. Is it safe then? I proceed cautiously, keeping an eye on the ice walls. However, they don't show any signs of coming back to life. I decided to follow him. Some of the things he said made me curious. Those creepy, living beings of ice. What did he mean by calling them brothers? I really hope it was just some weird figure of speech, but the way he treated them makes me really suspicious. So, you came from quite far, huh? Far south. Luke told me, from the Cat Kingdom. A fascinating story you two Dawsons must share. Your ardent determination and your brother's fighting style. I'm simply dying to know what the source of those two great powers could be. Whenever he strikes, I swear I can smell orange. How could that possibly be? Huh? Wait. Is she reading me right now? Is he trying to interrogate me? Remember, I think that and get defense in my own mind. He shakes his head, raises his hand in an apologetic way. Ah, forgive me, please. I meant no disrespect. It is but an old habit of mine. I didn't say anything. There was no need. And there was also definitely no need for me to try sniffing where my nose did not belong. We are all outcasts here. Whatever the thing the two of you are running away from is, that is of absolutely no concern of mine. Convenient of him to say that. Out of all dogs in the world, he would benefit from the blank slate the most, after all. But our sins are equal, not by a long shot. It's evident in the silence of him to even insinuate we are similar in any way. Even if he tries to forget what he did, everyone in Petty will remember for him, and they will hold him accountable. I scratch my head sheepishly, straddling those thoughts and a facade of embarrassment. My companion chuckles. Still, I'm genuinely glad you end up here with us. Your appearance has been nothing but a blessing to everyone. You have my gratitude, Master Ackley. A lot has changed for the better since you and Matt came to us. I needed someone like you to set Celta straight. Another thing before, this is my home pet, my pet too. Of course, I want to feel safe in my own den. That's obvious, is it not? And yet it takes exceptional dogs from afar to put the obvious into action. We knew that too, yet failed at leading our community onto the right path. Moon was a general with experience in enforcing his will on others, but that was not a knowledge helpful in creating that perfect community he wanted. Luke, he is too kind-hearted to do what has to be done. He loves us, but his understanding of us is too, well, idealized. Master Ackley, I want to thank you for getting rid of Sagbark and his pet despite Luke's objections. That was a hard but right thing to do. Of course he says that. He sees no value in a dog's life, that monster. I did that because I couldn't find another way. I can't just coddle everyone into submission. Still, I didn't make that decision lightly, and I take no pride in that. First, I antagonized Cyborg's path to elevate and grow my own influence within Celta, then I kicked them out of our den into the jaws of the grove. No wonder they came back to harass and steal from us. I deserve that. We haven't heard from them in a while, but I get a nasty feeling they are going to come back and bite us again, sooner or later. Being praised for that by Burry Tangleroot out of all people makes me doubt that decision even more now. Here we are, make yourself at home. We enter a small cavern, a small campfire, pieces of broken relics laying all over the ground. Recognize some of them. They are mostly simple, low-grade accessories with weak effects or deemed unusable at all. I tread towards the fire carefully, trying to avoid the screws, assault swords of glass and metal. I still keep my attention sharp, ready to fight back if he wanted to assault me at any point. You wanted to know what I was doing here, and about my brothers, correct? I feel I owe you honesty, Master Ackley, after all. Without your contribution, we would not have our shelter as stable as it is now. Without you, neither Luke nor Rune would have the chance to enjoy their lives with as much freedom. And I would not be able to dedicate so much of my time into the research to get my brothers their lives back. Except you have no brothers, Sir Tangleroot. I know that for certain. I studied your life. You were the only trained Tangleroot of your generation. Yes, of course that would be what you learn. There is certainly a decent way to make sense of all those holes torn across the fabric of the world, huh? A curious and horrible thing, is it not? Corruption, shadowing, or whatever else name is given to it at the time, turns you into those awful creatures, makes everyone forget about you forever. And oh, how efficient it is at that. Not even the most precious memories spared that fate, and yet people's lives continue to flow unbroken. Even though a good boy is gone, the changes they had brought onto the world remain, only the cause in people's perception has twisted, physical records become unreadable. While it is possible to make sense of those blanks with vague explanation, a lot of the impact can still be felt by the people who were touched by the lost ones the most. The world can force us to make sense of most things, even though a person is no more, and yet it cannot fill the hole that remains in the lives they touch and intertwine with. There are so many poor boys who lead such awfully lonely lives. They don't know why that is, but they feel there are some important pieces missing from making them whole. And very often they are correct. They wait and wait. They wait forever for what they used to have, but now is forever gone. And is that not the most cruel fate? Why are you telling me all this? I will get my rambling. I tend to give emotion and perspective when using Amicus Day, seeing my brothers and all that. But is that not the very definition of an ember, the power of Bolson's will, the determination and reflection of one's truth until the world crystallizes in the flames of a blaze? There are very few powers in our realm that can rival the might of a self-actualized heart. Harness its might, and the limits of impossibility will crack like an old stone. It took all my youth and all too many sacrifices to reach a point where I could keep their memory in my mind freely. Even then, I was no closer to saving anyone as I was at the start. All that sacrifice just so I could be dragged towards the other side as I condemned myself to ultimately share in their curse. All of it so pointless, so helpless. But then, out of nowhere, Luke came and made it complete and proper like it was supposed to be for me, for Rune Moon. It gets this world the impossibility cracks like an eggshell. Just so I get it clear, are you trying to tell me those ice creatures are the actual dogs you knew? Doll smiles. Luke's appearance, discovered shelter, and the relics, that changed everything. if there is any hope in fixing whatever sick curse is plaguing our realm, it all lies in those two things combined. And yet I have no inspiration to change the world. For now, all my focus is on giving my brothers their rightful lives back. With my family, no cost is too great. I look around the room once again. All those broken relics, I think I start to finally understand. He has been bringing and destroying these to release the mana charges trapped inside he needed to cast his ember. Even if those were just some trash trinkets we had no use for, they would still fetch a good price in the South. With enough research, they could potentially still turn out to be useful and powerful. And there are so many of them here. But as much as I hate the thought of agreeing with him on many things, I can't argue with his priorities. No cost too great indeed. Your amber circuit is an ungulate-based weightlifting enhancer that reduces heat as a side effect. It also grants the wielder some kind of heat resistance and manners more mysterious than magic itself. This color is similar in some ways. It spells some bursts of chilling cold during extensive use as a side effect due to running on Saurian mana, and that's what I hope to utilize to keep my brothers active for longer. But its actual effect is even more fascinating. It uses the most basic effect of Saurian's self-regenerating white string ability, but abuses it to a ridiculous degree. It doesn't even need the wielder's input in any way. You just put it on your neck, and it will heal you as soon as you receive a wound. It reacts to your pain and instantly brings you relief. I named it Bright Collar. Perhaps not too inventive, but it gets a point across, right? Not everything needs poetic names. It's hard to believe relics powerful as that exist. Care for a presentation? The dog places the relic collar around the neck and presses two buttons. A set of studs along its length dig into his skin, making him gasp and shudder. It's unsettling. You fight with knives and daggers, do you not? Stab me. But what? Do it. It is fine. Anywhere you wish. My stomach, my forearm. Just please, if you could, avoid slashing my digits off. It is just my deduction, but I assume that if the blade is wider than the limb, the relic may not be able to prevent the severance, and then, well, for example, let me just say it turned really nasty when we tried reopening Blue Moon's old scar in an attempt to regrow his right hand. Really, really nasty. His mind flashes with discomfort when he describes the event and the pathetic pain for another dog suffering in his own failure. My own heart's confused. I came here ready for a confrontation with an irredeemable monster I've been avoiding ever since I came here. But his words, actions, and his state of mind indicate him being anything but. The more I listen to him, the more doubt I feel. He possesses a top-grade relic that can turn any warrior invisible, and he tries and fails to use it for the sake of his lost brothers. That doesn't sound like my vision of buried Tanglewood. Another human was revered among him and Blue Moon. That day in the groves where the castle I witnessed with my own eyes how severe his influence can be. Could he have actually changed that mad dog to a good boy too? I don't understand. How am I supposed to feel about my lifelong resentment now? Well, if you do not wish to, there is no need, Master Ackley. I know you're trying not to show it, but I can clearly feel how uncomfortable it makes you. I merely thought you could be curious to see it all work, that's all. No, please don't take it off yet. You're right, I'm curious, let me see it, please. I smile, putting my hand on the handle of the dagger by my side. Buried Tanglewood smiles back at me while exposing his arms and torso. This is ridiculous. Am I actually growing a genuine connection with a person I dreamt of using and killing for so long? How? Why? Is this shelter's will speaking to me once again and guiding me through the best path for the good of my community and for my brother? That hatred inside me, it festered for so long, it won't let me rest until I let it out in one way or another. I have to release it, or I won't be free. If I stab him where it hurts the most, like his kidney or belly button, maybe that will be enough to satisfy that pain. I'm sorry. Thank you. The man looks at me with concern, but he gives me a supportive nod when he reads no animosity in my mind. Sure, he must understand by now that there are some important things I'm hiding from him. These I plan to share with him for the good of everyone. My shelter, my brother. As soon as I satisfy my thirst for vengeance, we can finally start making everything right. Take a deep breath, steadying my hold on the knife. Take a heavy step forward. But I can't do it. It just doesn't feel right anymore. Fuck. Oh, please, Master Ackley, that's enough. I'm deeply sorry, truly. I hear another click, and then the mechanical sound of the bright collar being removed from his neck. I can barely see anything through tears. Master Ackley, Brody Tanglewood. We have both been mistreated by overwhelming powers we could never stand up to. We couldn't fight back, so we ran. We hid here at the edge of the world while they still continue hurting and benefiting from people's pain. Do you think that's fair? No, it is not. One day we will have to do something to set things right. We cannot stagnate. There's fear and resistance in your mind, I can tell. I understand that. We aren't ready yet. We can't risk the lives of everyone who depend on us to keep them safe. You have your brothers, and I have mine. I will do whatever it is in my power to let you continue helping your family in secret, undisturbed. If only you could spare some of your time and knowledge to help us too. We are out of both time and options. You are the only one who can help us. Together, I'm sure we can save our families. They will return to us for good and will become stronger than ever. And then we will be ready. Of course I shall help you, Master Ackley. Master's pointing to Luke, to all of us. Thank you. But beyond that, no, we will never be ready for what you have in mind. What? Luke used to say the same things in the past, about taking over the world and all that. But he does so no longer. I think he finally understands. I reckon you should let go of those thoughts as well, Master Ackley. We have our peace and freedom. That should be enough. So what? Should we just let them get away with everything they've done to us and still keep doing to others? There are many evils ruling this world, and we are the only ones blessed with tools to oppose them. This is the power to fix everything, just like you said. You don't happen to still hold sentiment for the Crimson Royal Grove, do you? Luke told me they hurt you a lot. He never went into details, but he made it clear it was something huge. So all this, your brother's turning out like this, that is all the wolves is doing, isn't it? Let me guess. They sent them to the Borderlands for some war that wasn't theirs, and they got corrupted on the cursed land. Is that what happened? How can you turn a blind eye to injustice like that? If someone sent my brother corruption, I would rather die than. No, please stop, Master Ackley. You got that all wrong. I'm not as innocent as you take me for. I know everyone knows. In the past you've done a lot, but my brothers were corrupted in the Borderlands. I did it to them. In my own hands, for research. True, it was not out of my own initiative, but I am not going to try to excuse myself or self the blame for things I ultimately chose to do. I chose to follow through. Each of us makes choices, and mine led to the suffering of so many innocent dogs, even my own family, and even rooms. I was the one who single-handedly murdered his whole platoon, even those two kind-hearted brothers who stood up to save me. I like to delude myself I am better now, at least in my inaction, but I am not going to beg for anyone's forgiveness for my past. Sins like that should never be forgiven. Good. I never talk about those things with anyone, but there is something about you too. I think I'm telling you all that because I see some of myself in you. Ever since you and Max came here, I felt. No. We're nothing alike. But I have no choice but to keep going. And while I do, the best I can do for everyone is. The St. Bernard dog's widens just a moment before my blade slices through the hand he just barely protected his face with. His whole pinky finger, half his forefinger, and the last knuckle of his middle one are all severed by my freshly sharpened blade. Before the blood has even the time to spill through the wounds, before the dog has even the time to gasp and sock, I twist and swing my whole arm with a loud shout, aiming the dagger right at the back of his neck. Crap, my ribs hurt again. Always happens when I climb steep stairs. How much longer is it going to take for the pain to go away? It's been almost a month since that battle with Tangleroot. We both hurt each other pretty severely before I fled, his physical prowess caught me by surprise. When he came back to shelter, he already had his fingers reattached, but I had neither the Sorian Mana mastery nor the help of the wells to heal my wounds right away. I ended myself with Sorian Mana on the last expedition, but that's still not enough. I wish I had better affinity with that power. But that doesn't matter. I'm not some fragile bird or a rat. I'm a canine, and I'll pass myself up soon enough. I don't have the time to stop. When my brother stays in shelter and preserves his strength, I have no choice but lead the expeditions far and wide in search of anything that could have the potential to help him. I found something that could easily be of use. I don't know what the specific use without the human's appraisal, but I can tell for sure it's for strongly concentrated feline mana. We'll get to investigate it soon. For now, I just want to find Max and have a meal with him. It's been almost a week-long expedition. I miss him so much. Oh, Master Acri, welcome back. I will mount. Have you seen Max? Yes, he's up there with the human. They're making those funny voices again. Funny, what? I don't know, like the bird, like quiet howling thing. I think they call it the songing or something with their mouths. That doesn't sound like Max. He doesn't speak. But I guess not, but he sure does song. Only found out because I once heard him do that. It kind of sounded like he was in pain, so I was to help. But no, even if it sometimes sounds like he's being flayed alive, I think that's just the part of the art. He definitely got a little better since that time. They've been at it for like weeks. I'm surprised you didn't know. Oh no, I hope it was a secret or anything. Oh no. Max uses his voice? How? When? Why would they make a secret or something like that? I pat the dog's head and hurry upstairs as fast as my aching wills let me. Once I finally arrive on the top deck, I stretch my life, sensing empathy to my limits, searching for Max and the human. The place is too big for me to sense them, but after greeting and talking with a few more dogs, I finally get their general location. It's a spot near the edge of shelter they apparently visit regularly. When I look in that direction, it's too far for me to see anything. They could also be covered by the buildings. That may be to my advantage. I think it would be useful to me to observe them unnoticed at first and see what they do alone together before I reveal myself to them. As I plan out my course of action, something catches my attention, weird movement high in the sky. However, when I try to look at it, I get blinded by the brightness of the midday sun. Once my eyes get used to the light, I can't spot anything in the sky anymore. Did I just imagine it? Am I so tired that I'm starting to see things that aren't there? Of course not. I have full confidence in my own senses. Something's out there, a flying monster or something. It's concerning it came so close to shelter. But that's a worry for later. For now, I calm down and clear my mind to erase my presence as I walk towards Max's and the human's hiding place. Since I can't use empathy during my stealth state, I decided to follow my scent. Max is a clean boy with a scent so similar to mine that I would have a hard time catching it in an open, windy field like this, but the human's musk is different. It's so strong and sharp, so overwhelming, like it doesn't care about being hidden at all. It announces itself so boldly in such a brutal, intimidating manner, so clear even in this wide open space. I used to find it disturbing, but over the months of seducing a human, I started to find his scent weirdly comforting, even right now. Following that trail, I started to feel warm and happy inside. That's an unusual reaction, considering I don't plan to interact with the human right away. There's no direct benefit in me faking a sort of attachment already. I guess I've been doing it for so long that all this became an automatic reaction, kind of like that famous canine experiment where a dog was conditioned to climax at the sound of a bell. Good, I can use it. It's going to make my work easier later. Finally, I start hearing something unusual. Two voices not speaking, but still making sounds. Quickening, slowing down, twisting sharper and duller in unexpected ways. Just like Maut said, it really sounds like something avians would do. The whole songing thing with their beaks. The two voices here aren't as polished as birds. But they don't sound entirely unpleasant either. I can recognize the human's voice is deeper than the other one. The other one. Oh, my dog. Nice, you like that one too, right? I'm glad we came up with it together with Samson, my little brother. It was the first melody we created without Dad's input, so it's a little simplistic and rough. My dad always encouraged us to express ourselves with confidence. He told us that expressing through one's voice is a gateway to true power. People of the realm have grown quiet and forgetful, he said, but some of the most impactful events in the old history were accompanied by important songs. The canines howl, but they don't sing anymore. However, there is still a tradition widely celebrated among the avians, and I can't see why it couldn't be reintroduced here. You're certainly getting better with your own voice, Max. One of these days, you may even come up with your own melody. What do you think? Are you up for the task? When did that happen? Where did Max regain his voice? He still seems unable to say words, but the thing he's doing now, singing, that's certainly his voice. I observed him from my hiding, struggling to keep my emotions at bay. He looked so happy with the humans, just like he used to be with me. Where was I when it happened for the first time? On an expedition negotiating deals with Mosberg merchants and officials? I wish I was with him instead, but I know that all of that work we've been doing was what gave Max a proper environment to heal in the first place. My lips trembled while I watched both of them sitting and humming their melody. This is all I wanted for him. Peace, safety, a proper pack. Now everything's just right. At least for as long as it lasts. I see in the way he keeps his legs that his condition is deteriorating. He keeps them straight and doesn't move them. They must be bothering him more and more now. his spine. After my confrontation with Boy Tangaroo, after I came back, the sound of broken ribs, he followed soon after with his fingers barely reattached. With the relic's power, we were forced by the humans to explain ourselves. I shared the details of Max's condition with him, and with no other options left to me, I agreed to let Tangaroo examine and work with us, work out the solutions. We never really came to see eye to eye, Boy and I, not after we almost murdered each other. But I trusted the human enough to count on him to make sure no harm would come to Max, while I myself chose to leave for an excavation in order to not interrupt the process. He didn't regain his voice just from that examination, did he? From what I understood, this whole business started a while ago. Come to think of it, I remember the human mentioned to me he started hanging out with Max more. I didn't think much of it at the time. Yeah, it definitely isn't thanks to Tangaroo. I spoke to him earlier after my return. While the communication between us was short and awkward, at the very least I gathered that the examination was as fruitful as I hoped. I can understand the process to some degree, but I lack the tools and resources to help him at this moment, he said. I apologize. I know it feels pretty hopeless, at least the Opal Pride that's on us. They were so confident sending us out on missions precisely because they made sure we would be always dependent on them. But we're not going to give up. It's pretty rough, but as long as we're alive and free, there must be things we can still do. I have another meetup scheduled with my informant tomorrow at midnight. I'm going to find out what Tangaroo needs, and then we will find solutions. Yeah, we'll hurry. We'll make it in time for sure. This new beginning with his peg is perfect den. It can't all end now. They both stop. They look around. Instinctively, I take a few steps back to break my stealth stance and Max knows me with empathy. Crap. Okay, go in there and say hello. You weren't spying on them. You just wanted to make it a surprise. Yeah. Let's. Ooh. Huh? The sky goes dark for a split second, then something big and screaming hits me from the side with the speed of an arrow and the impact of a rusting bull. One of my arms gets stuck under the chain belts of some kind of a big blasting metal relic box strapped over a shouting canine's back and torso, dragging me over the smooth surface of the metal floor. We're going to crash against the wall. We twist and turn leaves me lightheaded as we suddenly shoot straight up into the skies, avoiding the metal wall and racing up above the center of all the nearby hills what feels like less than 2 seconds. I started to catch a breath for a short moment and lose all feeling in my limbs. I tried to force movement in any of my muscles until I can finally sense friction over my forearm. As I can completely untangle from the chains and the relic's user flies off without me, he grows distance between us as I fall back towards the ground from hundreds of meters of height. Is this an assassination attempt? Crap. What should I do? How do I survive? I have to land into the biggest mountain of snow. Max. Oh, Aki, our roommate. I feel a rough tug at my scruff as I finally start descending. Wu Moon, the user of the flying backpack relic, steadies himself midair, so we only hover. I'm so terrified of heights, I can't help but curl up like a little puppy in his grasp, with my knees and tail raised to my belly, as he turns me around and looks at me with that bright, irresponsible grin. Sorry. I'm still getting a hang of this relic. I call it changing liberty because it lets you fly through the skies like by avian winds of liberty, but you have to strap that box those chains around you to feel its freedom. And I just love oxymoronic names, you know. It's pretty clever, huh? Akwi, you okay? How come you always quiet whenever we come face to face, same as that day in the palace? Right. Did you just pee yourself? Down. Please. Down. Please. There's a surprise. Oh. Like you just realized that hovering hundreds of meters over the ground may be uncomfortable for some dogs. He tells me under his right arm presses some buttons at the palm side of the relic glove of his left hand and twists his body so he starts descending towards the top of one of the tall hills towering over Shelter. Once we finally hit the ground, I curl in a ball in the snow and hyperventilate. Now that I'm finally safe and my blood stops boiling, the renewed pain in my wheels returns tenfold. It's gonna set me back in my recovery, but I don't care. I'm just glad I'm alive. I don't want to feel like that ever again. Are you okay, mate? Yeah. Sorry about that. This relic is clearly designed to be used with two hands, with the controls and the gloves, but I was trying to master it with just one hand and flexing my body and stuff. I think I'm getting the hang of it now. Good. I'm happy for you. You're so cute when you're like that. I should traumatize you more often. Well, I'm joking, of course. Sorry, that was inappropriate. It's okay. I'll be fine. You look happy. Even more so now, getting to hang out with you. That doesn't happen often. I'm usually busy with, stuff like taking care of the whole shelter, training newcomers in battle arts, keeping everyone in check. Although in that last regard, you and your pack are doing most of the heavy lifting now. Gives us all a chance to put our time and focus elsewhere. Thank you, Agri. I'm glad you and Max are here with us. He told me about Max, bro, and me. Oh. Yeah, that's rough, mate. We started thinking of ways to approach it. Trust me, we'll do everything we can and we'll pay any price to help him. Thank you. You should have told us sooner. I know you have your secrets, but we are not strangers here. We're all a pack. You can trust us, believe in us. You said Luke would be able to help him. I heard Max using his voice again. I never seen him so happy. See, he told you. But that's not enough. Nothing's really changed. The fact he's so happy right now makes it even worse. Well, think of something. You haven't seen what he can do yet. You and Luke have grown really close, intimately even. Makes me a little jealous, haha. You wouldn't share bed with him if you didn't get a glimpse of his true value, right? His true value, huh? It's a sight right from the start, even if the rest of those simpletons were too absorbed in their canine pride. It was obvious to me that the human was the key of illness and shelter. But I know that's not what Moon insinuated. Before he even finishes his question, I invoke feelings of infatuation inside my mind to feed his empathy for those emotions. I pit and catalog a few experiences to instantly grasp on every time I want to show those feelings to others. It's an old and well-known practice in empathetic deception. The moment the human attacked Sagbar to protect me, the beautiful blue hue of his eyes, the way he drowns me in his scent right before he finishes inside me. A wagon nod, glancing to the side in a display of shyness. Yeah, he's a good guy. Stronger than he looks, so kind and honest to a fault. I love him, and I'll always believe in him, but... oh wow, I can't believe it. How could I not see it before? Bro is right. You really are good at lying. What are you... I mean, that's fine, right? Relax. Although it feels Like I don't have to teach you how to relax. It took you pretty much no time to switch from very genuine, chaotic fear to a neatly constructed influence. Oh, no way, you added a little chaos to it just now. Interesting. What are you on about, Chief? Of course my mind will get jumbled if you keep commenting on it out loud. You're weird. It's okay, I told you. You don't have to worry about anything with me. My appreciation for your work hasn't changed. I just want to make sure I speak with the real Acme. If that's even your real name. Yes, it is. As real as it gets. I had new names prepared for us, but I messed up and gave the human our old names. I don't care if you believe me or not. This is an interrogation? Oh no, it's not that at all. I just wanted to talk with you. Oh, don't worry. I can tell you're being honest now. You never called Luke by his species name before. Oh no, I swear that's not. Chill out, Acme. It's okay. I'm not judging. I'm just happy we can finally talk freely without pretense. He puts his hand on my shoulder and smiles, wagging his husky brush over the sparkling snow. He's friendly, and I can tell there's some honesty in his happiness, but I'm trained well enough to sense vague tension hidden at the core of those pleasantries. Despite his reassurances, I can tell the legendary canine hero Wu Moon, the former second high-pack general in the Crimson War Grove, is definitely interrogating me. So he had new names prepared, huh? What did he come up with? Oh, nothing special. Salt and pepper. Oh my God, that's so cute. Let me guess. You were salt and matched pepper. You were salt and matched with pepper, right? Yes, because salt can improve all other flavors and pepper packs a punch. You say it's nothing special, but you gave so much thought even to those names, those nicknames. I love it. We should use those names for you too from now on. That's why rubbing my shoulder with a little more strength and giving the side of my chin a playful scratch. I don't sense any hostility in his words or actions, but feeling so exposed in front of him instinctively puts me back on my guard. Despite the good nature and seemingly carefree attitude he developed over the past months, I'm still very well aware it's all but a very thin veil over the clever, calculating and dangerous warrior underneath. Did he really catch and bring me here on accident, or did he plan that all? I didn't see him flying over shelter when I was still outside. If he knew I returned, and he was also aware of Master's whereabouts, then it's not unreasonable to assume he could arrange this whole accident to stabilize my mind through fear of flying so high in the sky in order to hinder my deception, and then take me to a spot none of my men can reach before confronting me with information. Am I reading 2 months into it? You know, we all knew you two were special from the start, but hearing about Master's condition, everything finally starts making more sense, and at the same time is even more mind-blowing. You always said you grew up among the cats, so I assume you were smuggled not too long after birth. That's really sad. Infants are still strongly connected to the land they were born through, so they are more resistant to the influence of the corrupted soil. You couldn't have been older than a few months when that happened, right? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Sorry. Still, Master's methods of invoking the effects of feline styles. You weren't enslaved by just anyone, right? People with resources do something so awful and impressive had to be equally awful and impressive themselves. If I were to guess, it was the Lion King himself, perhaps. I always wonder if he's as big and buff as our spies say. I never met the king. We weren't brought up anywhere near the capital. In this country, you have your Call of the Wild, skulking in the saddles, and the cats have their own steady line groups too, more than just one. We come from one of those parties. We were trained as assassins against dogs. That day we met at the castle, you were our target, Wu Moon. I changed my mind after hearing your speech. He takes his hand off my shoulder. He doesn't show it on his face, but he's surprised. I can sense his analytical mindset straining and failing to latch onto any gains of deception. My honesty is making him confused. Okay, that's quite a lot to take in. Which part was it, if you don't mind me asking? It's okay, I don't mind telling you, but does it really matter? Do you think we still work for them or something? No, of course not, but, in order with both the intel resources enough to continue Boyd's experiments. It wasn't like the upper part, was it? Some of the things I've read into our reports were, yeah. Sounds like you already know, and all you want from me is just a confirmation. Sorry, Agui, I mean no offense. It's just that I'm curious, is all. They are all sick people and very, very crafty bastards. Even for cats. Not all cats are like that, Chief. I know, but most of them. Don't say things like that. This goes both ways, You aren't blind to what canines do to their own people either. It's not going to be a fruitful conversation if we start picking on each other's words, Chief. Yeah, sorry. Ignore me. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just curious about you. We never had a chance to talk so honestly. I'm trying to get to know you, Does that make sense? Hey, no need to get upset, I really don't mean to. You want to know more? You want to know where my loyalty stands, is that it? I can't believe that you, out of all people, insinuate something like that after everything you yourself went through and where you are now. Chief, we hadn't seen the sun through most of our puppyhood. Before our training started, we spent most of our lives in cages underground. There were many cages there, each of them obviously used before. You could smell it, but I couldn't recall anyone ever living in those empty cages. We were very, very little. We didn't know anything about corruption at that time. We were taught speech, but other than that, we were no more than livestock for those experiments they apparently couldn't get right after so many tries. Luckily, they let me and Matt stay together for all that time, not out of kindness, but purely as a merit to the project. After all, they weren't based on Barry Tanglewood's data, and he recognized interpersonal connections as a source of potential that could be utilized for power. I think they were right, because when our turn came, they brought us to that room together, and it was right there when they explained corruption to us. And they told Mance that if he turns during or after the operation, it would be my next turn. It would be my turn next. They let me stay with him and hold his hand as they cut him. And Max. I feel lightheaded and cold for a moment. I hold onto my own shoulder, trembling, and nearly throw up. That's the memory I try to keep as far away from my waking mind as I can most of the time. This is actually the first time I ever shared it with anyone, and it doesn't bring me any relief at all. Crap, Agui. Listen. If you're asking me if I have any loyalty left for the people who did all that and many years of even more unforgivable things to us, then no, I don't. Shelter is my home, and everyone here is my family. I have no attachment to that other country. We are dogs, not cats. We are Shelter, not the Opal Pride. But Chief, there were mostly other cats in those cages, not dogs. They were like siblings to us, and their fate was no better or less senseless than ours. I came here to Shelter because this is the place where outside politics don't matter, right? We were hurt by cats, but not all cats are evil. That's all I was saying. I'm sorry, Agui. Truly. I never doubted you were on our side. That was evident in everything you did for us. Walking around rousing and uniting people against injustice. That's the kind of dedication that had to come from an honest heart. You did so much for us, and we want to do everything in our power to help you with your struggle, mate. Thank you, that means a lot to us. Yeah, and I don't mean it just as empty promises, I needed to have this talk with you because the only thing we could come up with may involve some careful political negotiations. and your past could stand as a bit of an obstacle if we weren't absolutely sure we're on the same page. What do you mean? We all know how much Max means to you. You would do anything to help him, right? Yes, we feel the same way. We want to do anything in our power to aid you guys. Unfortunately, Burry has neither the tools nor the resources to even attempt helping your brother. However, both of us know people of influence we could possibly consider asking for help. And you're talking about the Prince of Royal Grove. You know, neither Burry nor I would throw an idea like that lightly. If possible, we would be glad to never hear from that place ever again. But that is the best we can think of. We love both you and Max, and we're willing to compromise our principles for your sake. But of course, that will come at a price. That day at the castle, I made it quite clear I didn't want the Grove to even dare look in our direction. It actually worked very well. The most that they've done to us so far was passive-aggressive reallocation of the administrative and economic resources to other parts of the country without hindering us directly, only through inaction. It's like they want to show us that they aren't in a hurry because we can't stay self-sustained for long anyway. I mean, they aren't completely wrong. Even now, we still depend on food deliveries from the south by the freebooters. We have to pay greatly inflated prices for that. The good news of Mosburg are quite upset at us. The good boys of Mosburg are quite upset at us for that, as you know. Thank Dog for their patience and our continued efforts at keeping their partnership with us on good terms. Burry and Luke are trying to get those gardens and shelter up and running, but that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. The truth is, we need the South, as probably always will do to some degree. And now, I was calling back to the Grove, asking for help after declaring our independence so boldly. We're going to be at an disadvantage in those negotiations, to put it very lightly. If we won't get straight up denied, they will aim to establish a degree of control and shelter. If we want to avoid giving the whole metaphorical meat tree, we have to offer them a bone meaty enough to be worth their hurt pride. Haven't spoken with Luke about it yet. He's been weirdly distant for a while now, disappearing for hours at a time, seeming all distracted whenever I speak to him. So I thought maybe it would be best if you talk to him first. He acts like a completely different person when you're around, in a good way. I'm afraid he wouldn't take my suggestions too well. What suggestion? What do you want to give the wolves? Well, there would be 3 main stages of offers, depending on how difficult they would be to bargain with. First, we would try to convince them with samples of Burry's recent discoveries he gained since that time he parted with the Grove. It's not much, but Burry's words hold great promise of power, and they all know it. We'll try to greatly overplay that and settle the negotiations at that stage. Ideally, we would establish a study in Mosburg for the whole purpose of helping Max. We would request assistance of good scholars and all the resources Burry will need for that endeavor. However, as much as we hope to settle the negotiations at that stage, we are prepared for the promise of power alone to not be enough. In that case, we will offer a tribute of power manifested. Blue Moon passed the relic backpack strapped around his back and torso. We will give them a relic. If one would be enough, that would be amazing, but we have to prepare more. So far, our prospectors have distributed some decent relics down south, but we made sure from the start to buy and keep the most powerful ones to ourselves whenever Lucas ascertained their potential. Something flashy would make for the best bargaining meat chops, something that would give them a taste of what the relics are truly capable of, and why we are both to be feared and beneficial to work with. We have a few exceptional tools that reveal some of the ancient technology's potential in a straightforward but impressive manner. The chains of liberty, granting the user their avian flight with the force of a hurricane. Burry's bright collar and his unparalleled saurian regeneration making any warrior immortal. This was badge of holding, barring open the swift, unrestrained access to the night limitless vault. The Emerald Circuit, turning anyone into an unstoppable blazing bull. I believe that one belongs to an acquaintance of yours. If only we could find a relic that can simulate the feline power of destruction the tribute set will be completed. I will ask for your assistance in convincing owners of some of those relics to part with them for our mission. That would give us great negotiation power. You want to take some of our most powerful relics, our most invaluable assets, and give them to the wolves, your greatest enemy? Yes. That's how much both of you mean to us. No. Huh? No, we're not doing that. I don't understand why not. You said it yourself, you're out of time and options. This is the best we can do to give you a chance. The relics are our greatest strength. The only upper hand we have over all of those powerful kingdoms and prides. And you want to give it to them as a tribute? You're going to ruin our advantage for just one dog? This isn't just any dog, Acqui, it's your brother. Are you seriously trying to tell me you'd rather keep the relics than save Max? What you are suggesting is a fair exchange. You're giving up on everything we built merely for a chance to help him. And even if we succeed, even if everything goes according to plan and ends like we hope, we would find ourselves in a slippery slope of dependency on the kingdom of Mal. How much do you think your tribute will limit that? You know how those men in power work? Where's the point of saving Max if we would have to sell a piece of his freedom for that? I don't want him to just be alive. I want him to be happy too. We don't have much choice right now. Keeping Max alive takes priority. Whatever comes next, we'll deal with it when the time comes. I'll be honest with you. I thought you would be on board with our plan for the get-go. You and Max always seem so protective of each other. Your words, they surprise me. We're not giving the relics to the wolves. Fine. As I said, I had 3 stages of bargaining planned for that. The relics were just the second stage. The final one is very uncomfortable and dangerous and unpredictable, but that could be enough to convince them, maybe even without letting go of the relics. Something more valuable than the relics? A lot will depend on you here, Acqui, and your way with words. You, who is the closest with Luke right now. Although, if you ask him, I suspect he wouldn't need much convincing. Luke? Yes, I thought that if neither the knowledge nor the tools of manifested power would be enough to convince them, then maybe the source of the possible potential could stir their curiosity. And that could be achieved if we offered their scholars all berries and my knowledge, along with a vial of Luke's blood. The night sky adorned by the giant moon in its full glory, while I skulk across the rocky cliffs, constantly making sure I'm not being followed. I have to come alone, or my informant won't appear. He would know. It happened one in the past already. He's extremely careful. I can't afford to scare him off tonight. Too many pieces have been put into motion already, and I have to take control of this whole situation before everything is lost. The top of full moon yesterday gave me a lot to think about. They are all impressive dogs, and they mean well, but none of them have any idea what they're doing. But I know what to do. I always did. Said it once, used to speak it through the human too, but now I am the only one who listens. From the light of the ancient hearth, the curve steps out yet again, lured into the depths of the darkest night. There he is, a stranger and an ally, who aided me on every step of my journey to shelter, and a source of intel I wouldn't be able to gain control of its people without. an enigmatic wild card I can't help but keep drawing on. Hello again, Wild Wolf. A faint ember of a lit cigarette glows an intense orange light in the darkness right before the smell of tobacco smoke invades my nostrils. I can only faintly see his silhouette in the saddles. You let me see him. I know everything. You let your emotions guide your blade, but you still have always wielded them like one. The clock keeps ticking and your house of cards fall apart, cuz Kerr. A wedding. The plans you mentioned. I thought it all through and I agree. You can't wait any longer. It's time, Wild Wolf. Let's talk. A deep chuckle, then another slow blow of tobacco smoke. I knew you'd come to your senses sooner or later. You are the logical one. But you must know that is a one-way road. Once we follow that thorny path, there's no going back, I know. But this is what we have to do. We will never get rid of this fear and humiliation as long as those tyrants stand in the way of our freedom. Sheldon wants to be free, and this country is too small for two joint political forces. This world, too, so small and yet so fractured. This is all so wrong. Indeed. Indeed it is. I sigh. He snaps his fingers and the half-smoked cigarette flies down the rocky cliff, spewing sparks across the first rocky hits. The spark gets drowned in the gloom below. Very well. Let's talk, then, under the light of the full moon as our witness. Seal your heart and soul as we turn words to action, determination into the sharpest blade. In the world of ancients, awaken once more, here at the edge of the world. Hope, sacrifice, salvation. Everything starts now. I promise you, O cursed Kerr. The throne at the edge of the world shall soon meet its Lord. Our roommates, thanks for playing this month's build. The plot thickens. Looks like we're getting more questions than answers, but we'll definitely be getting things cleared up as we go along this story path. Why isn't Ackley with us anymore? Why aren't we actively at war with the rest of the world after everything we see happening right now? And more importantly, who could be that dancing, handsome, dark, in the mad lone wolf? Ooh, the mystery. Can you guess? Okay, but what if it's not Alan? What if it's another lone wolf with the exact dialogue, font color, manner, speeds, one visible red eye, his exact font spike contour? Evil twin brothers used to be a pretty popular trope back in the day, you know. Although since Alan is as bad as it gets, his cliche twin would have to be a good as boy, huh? If at the end of this route, in the after credit scene, Alan confesses to you it was him all along. Please don't tell him that. It was obvious, okay? Don't hurt his feelings. But enough about the wolf. This is supposed to be Max's route, and if it still feels like it's a route for anyone but him, right? Is this going to be like that all the way to the end? Nope, I hope the waiting time will be worth what I have planned for him. We're setting up the biggest scene in the final spotlight will be his, I promise. This is the biggest path of the three. Taking into account all the events and characters we were already introduced to, they all have a long-lasting and ongoing impact. Since the end of Stelter Skies Ablaze project is already visible somewhere out there on the horizon, now is the time to go through other threads that will tie to the finale. And Max will definitely play his role there. Special thanks to everyone for the support on patreon.com/Ross. I can't wait to share with you the rest of this route. Heck, and goodness thanks to Slav for helping me with text and emotional support since the very first build. Good boy, mate. I'm in Brazil with Slav right now, guys. Like, oh my dog, really? I'll be here for another 2 to 5 months, steadily working on shelter updates and hanging out with him. Thank you everyone for making it possible. Thank you. Since I didn't make the credits roll in fan art showcasing build V32.5, we got a lot of new fantastic pictures or so in this one. Look at them. The biggest special awards go to you, fellow artist friends. Seeing my characters manifesting in your style always makes my tail wag. You're all good boys. If anyone else would like to have their picture shown in the next Shelter build and possibly added to the fan arts gallery section, tweet it to @ShelterVN, click it, or with a hashtag ShelterVN. Like always, I'll be checking my Twitter every day and retweet, comment on every submission. Well then, how about we continue the Barkers night and see what the mysterious stranger has to say to Akwi. Next time on Shelter, red and orange. See you next month. Here's our woo. Alright, so that was the latest update of Shelter and the latest update for Max. I think whatever Akwi and the wolf, who I believe is Alan, agreed to, I think something happened that caused him to not be part of Shelter anymore. I don't know if he got killed or if he sacrificed himself or if he agreed to not come back to Shelter or what, but I guess this plan that he and Alan, well the wolf I assume is Alan, agree with, ultimately ended up in him not being at Shelter anymore somehow. So we'll figure out more about that. So, and like in the ending credits, seems like we haven't seen Max at all in this throughout much of his route. I mean, you see everybody else, but we don't see Max. In Boy's route, we got to see Burry quite a lot, and in Rune's route, we got to see him also. But we really haven't seen Max at all since the baths. So, I like how much Rune described the political situation and in his way of forming an alliance with the Canine Kingdom in exchange for trade. I like that he was very articulate and intelligent, discussing all the politics and how they would negotiate with the kingdom for trade, and him even saying that some of the merchants were put on inflated, they would trade items for inflated prices. So Rune sounded really knowledgeable, and he wasn't just a horny, perverted dog, that he was also somebody who was very knowledgeable about the political situation. And I enjoyed that discussion he had with Akwi. He certainly was interrogating him. I mean, he really sounded like a real leader in this update. You know, friendly, but also being a leader and just discussing things and how he plans to execute what he plans to do towards the safety and security of shelter. So that's all I have to say for now. In the next shelter update, it will continue Max's route, and we'll get to see more from Acqui and the wolf, who I assume is Alan. All the information for the game is in the description box below. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.